our discussion this morning is about entrepreneurship. And then we have our guest in the studio who would discuss turning your ideas into reality, making sure you go through the due process when it comes to conceiving your ideas, going through step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, until those ideas become actualized and until you begin to see yourself at the top where you envisage yourself to be when it comes to doing your business. So I'll throw this to Modupe, my other half, to introduce the guest. We have a beautiful guest in the studio this morning.
And to talk about entrepreneurship, ideation to reality, we have an entrepreneur and a business strategist in the studio here with us. Her name is Abayomi Adiola Dela, and she will be doing justice to the topic of today. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to be here.
Yes.
So let us start. How can a person, carve his niche in the business world? Let's start with that.
Okay. Carving your niche in the business world is basically about knowing what exactly you want to do.
Okay.
Because I tell people that if you don't know what exactly you want to do, you just jump into everything and come out with nothing at the end of the day. You just be exhausted and everything. So carving out your niche in the business world goes with what you like, your interest, your passion, what you feel is really great for you, what you think you should really go into, and looking at your environment to the problems that you like to solve, things you like to look at and be like, I think I have a solution to this problem. So in that light, you just bring out these things and say, I just want to go into this thing because I really want to solve problem. Now, looking at fashion, you probably realize that there are a lot of styles that you have in your head, but you're not able to project them because you're not a fashion designer or you're not. But there are other professions that can actually go into styling, like fashion illustration and all that, where you just get to draw styles and all. So I feel like once you know what exactly you want to do, you know what interests you, what you're passionate about, you know what exactly to feature in.
Like I said earlier, bringing ideas to reality is an issue for some. Most people, should I say most people? Most people, I'm putting myself in their shoes right now, and I think I've heard of people say, before you can turn that idea into reality, if you're having that phobia to actually do that, probably talk to someone, have a mentor and the likes. But for you now, what do you think someone in that shoe that's having that phobia of actually bringing their ideas to reality, what do you think they can do?
Okay, a lot of people say this, have a mentor, have somebody to it's becoming a, a cliche. Everybody just wants you to have a mentor, but really, looking at it, do these people really have time? I'm not saying that mentorship is not fine, it's fine, but would you place your passion on mentorship? How do I mean? Now, if today you get a mentor who is probably just always pushing you down, always pushing, like you're not coming up, and you might actually have another mentor who is pulling you up, but you're not finding that passion. You're not finding that thing you're not passionate, you're not really passionate about it. So it comes off the fact that you will have to be passionate yourself first, build up yourself to that point where even if you have a mentor that is always chasing you, he knows he's chasing gold, he knows he's chasing something that is really nice. So it's not just about having a mentor that will just tell you, do this. No, you also have to build up yourself, your mindset and all. Because when things start to crash, it's not your mentor that will help you, or it's not your mentor that will start to say, oh, this is how to do this, how to go about it, and all that. So I feel like, really, you should first build up yourself before you can have a mentor. So you not become a liability and you become an asset instead.
People say, just start.
Yeah.
I've heard that many times. They say, just start. Just start. If you fail, then you pick up yourself and continue. Do you think that is right?
Wow. I feel like that works a whole lot of time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worked for me, and I've seen other businesses grow from the scratch that they probably just fail. And that's why, I'll use this instance. You see some comedians, once they start at first, they are not funny. Honestly, they are not funny. But then they just do it because, one day somebody will get to notice them, or one day they'll just get funny, and then it's probably get on a brand that is really big and all that. So it's not, sometimes you just have to start. You never can tell until you start. Because if you say, I'm not starting, I don't want to start now because I feel like who will buy, you won't know until you start, you get? It's just like going on a journey and feeling like there might be traffic or there might not be traffic, but you really need to go. So you just have to just go. Right. I think that's what.
So now, moving on, what is your own definition of a good business idea?
Okay. A good business idea is one that solves a problem. Like, it solves a problem for your community.
Okay.
It solves a problem for people around you.
All right.
Like, that's just a leverage for you. Once you have a business that grows the community, that helps the community to solve a particular problem, helps the community to feature in global importance, feature in global relevance. It takes a whole lot of thing for your business to even grow. It's not just about your business standing there. Once it solves a problem, people begin to notice you, and people begin to see a reason why they should patronize you. So I feel like the first thing that makes a good idea go up for a business, or makes a business a really good idea, is solving a problem in your environment.
I was saying there are so many good business ideas that will potentially impact your world. But then some of these ideas are not sellable because people believe, they usually say do not live in a world of illusions and all of that. So how do you know if your business idea is sellable?
Okay, I once had a business idea of having to lay people's beds for money because I just felt like I really loved to lay beds. And then I realized that this cannot work independently, except you have a hotel where you have services that you help people to lay beds, you help people to like clean the environment and all that. And I looked at it first that it was not sellable. But there's a structure that comes with business. If you have an idea that you feel is not sellable, why not impute it in another business? That's what makes an idea really, really grow. Because like you have to look at a structure. Oh, this person has an hotel. I can easily like put in my value into this hotel and make my idea really come to life. So many times we just look for, we really want it to be sellable independently, and that's because human beings naturally just want to blow, or just want to like do something and everybody knows you already. But it doesn't come off as that. You have to like sometimes start from having a collaboration with someone, or having to do something for someone, create value, then people begin to notice you. There's no idea that is not sellable. It just depends on your community, depends on what exactly you are facing.
Now, mistakes is one thing that most startups are, I won't say they are eager to make, but some people are eager to make it because they've heard that when you make your first mistake and you're able to come out of it, then you are getting there. You understand? And some will hear that, okay, some are scared to make that first mistake. They don't know what the outcome will be, if they will have to pull out or stop the business or close down and the likes. So what are the mistakes that startups should, anticipate? And then when they make those mistakes, how can they come out of it successfully?
Okay, one of the thriving mistakes that I feel like entrepreneurs make is not learning. People don't like to read. People don't like to ask questions.
Okay.
The thing with learning and asking questions is that you get to know what someone else feels about your idea. Nobody's an island of knowledge. You have to like understand that this is an idea I'm going to give to the world. I'm not going to be patronizing myself. So I have to ask people, what do you think about this? What do you think I could do to make this better? And when you meet someone who is better off, we like to feel like, I would like to meet this person. But no, it doesn't work like that many of the times. You have to meet them and be like, I really want to go into this thing. How do I go about it? How do I go about it? But many times it comes off that even people who have been there from time past do not like to help budding entrepreneurs.
Exactly what
because like you just get and you ask them and they're like, I don't, like they just give you an answer that, and this is there from the marketplace where you need change for your customer. And like, please, I need 200. And like, I don't have to. Like, you have it, you don't want that person to buy. So all these things really they say a lot of things to people out there when you cannot really learn. You don't want to read. You just want to make money, and that leads us back to why exactly are you doing business? Are you doing it because you want to make money, or you are doing it because you want to solve a problem. Or you are doing it because you are passionate? You have to find that reason, that thing that drives you, so that when the bad time comes, you know what exactly to do. So aside from learning from people, I also feel that people don't take their starting very lightly. They don't take it passionately. Reason being that once you start a business, you're not supposed to just leave it and just feel like customers will come. No, find every possible means. Go from door to door if that's what it will take you. Many of the big brands that have started and they are very like big now, they do not just start with, oh, I'm already big. No, you start from the scratch. Meet people, talk to people about it, evangelize your business. Like, people, I'm serious, preach
the gospel about your business.
Let people know once you get to a room, let people just know that this is what, hi, I'm Della, and I'm a business strategist. I can consult for you. Like, let people be able to, you should have a pitch story to tell people once they meet you. The first 2 minutes you have told them everything about you. So people don't just meet you and you're just saying things that are not really relevant to your business.
Yes.
The business does not go like that.
It is public knowledge that the business fair in Africa, in Nigeria, is really very competitive. So how do you stand out as an entrepreneur?
Okay. I like this question because I have a community where we have different entrepreneurs. Everybody is doing everything. You see house of this, house of that. Everybody's doing makeup. Everybody's doing... So what stands you out is collaboration, really. If you are having a photo shoot where you have a photographer you're collaborating with, you have a makeup artist, someone does the top, someone does the trousers, someone is selling the shoes, someone has the bag. Like, and you come together, you create a force. Because, like, nobody can, we don't just rise like that. We rise by lifting others up. So when you start with a photographer that really has enough online presence, and you come with your little presence, once they see everything come together, they see the bag, the shoes, it's not everybody that will buy the top exactly, but somebody will find the top like distinguished already. Yes. So it's not just about you just trying to, you want to do everything yourself. Sometimes we have to like come into collaboration. I feel like what solves competition, I once wrote an article on competition versus collaboration. It causes a whole lot of, everybody wants to be up there. We don't want to bring somebody up. What's wrong with you saying, oh, I can't attend an event, so I can't even do the makeup for the person. Oh, please, let me call. I have a friend who does makeup. Can I? So we should be able to sometimes refer people.
Okay, we have a caller, Michael Omole.
Michael from Omole.
From Omole.
Yeah. Hello, Michael. So they don't support your business, right? They don't support you. They're not supporting your dream. Is that what you're trying to say?
Like that. If everybody around you is having this negative thought, how do you push it away?
Okay. Thank you, Michael. So if everyone, your family, friends, everyone around you is not supporting your business and having negative thoughts, how do you pull through?
Okay. For so many years while I was in business, that was my question, and I got an answer.
Okay.
I've been doing business and business strategy for over 10 years, and I realized that my father doesn't know anything about it, but my mom does. But the thing is, there's little or less support she can give. But I'm the kind of person that looks at what I want to do and I just go with it. Like, I'm just so stubborn about it. My advice to you, Michael, is that you just go for what you want. Despite the whole thing, like people are not supporting you, your parents are not supporting you, people are looking at you and saying your business will not thrive. The main thing is, what do you think about your business?
Yeah.
What do you think your business will be in 5 to 10 years? Can it stand? Once you can look at that, you don't need the support of anybody. Because when people support you and you don't support yourself, you will not thrive. So the first thing is support yourself. When people begin to see life in it, they will come to the understanding that this business is here to stay. So first, carry your passion, know what exactly you want to do, and go with it.
How can you sustain it? What are the basics? What can you do to sustain that business, even with the whole hurdles and trials and tribulations that come, in the way? How can you sustain the business?
Before you start a business, I believe that you first have to understand yourself. Understand the kind of person you are. Can you work with a team? Do you like to do things on your own? Do you have ideas spontaneously? Do you just like to carry things out as you get them, or you like to think about it? So you have to, when you look at that, after starting a business, that's not what makes you a CEO.
Okay.
You are still a business person in that sense. So it's until you are able to run the business well and make it stand out, taking risk, that's what makes you an entrepreneur. So that's just by the way.
Okay.
First, I believe that you have to understand yourself. Get a team.
All right.
Get a team, 5 5, 6 team. You don't have to be like so many. Or you'll not be able to control them. You'll not be able to manage them.
Okay.
So first, get a team that you can work with.
Okay.
And not your friends, please. Not your friends.
That's important.
Why? Why not?
Get a team. Because like many times you can't shout at them.
Yeah,
If you're like me, you
you'll
can
be
shout
so
at them.
cautious.
But, yes. If you're like me, you can shout at them. But if you're a kind of person that you don't like wahala, I like
Me. Omobola the Oladipo can shout at her friends.
Yes, she can.
Yeah, if you cannot shout at them, you cannot tell them, do this, put your foot stop and come out where it's meant to be. You cannot, you're still begging them, please, let me. No, you should be able to talk to them.
Okay.
So that's it. So in running your business consistently and sustainably, you have to be able to get a team that you can work with. If you're someone who likes to work with a team. But if not, you can do it on your own and you can find a structure you want to work with. What's your goal of doing the business? So if it's that in 5 to 10 years, you want to have a store where this is what you do and it really stands out, carry out what's your step one, what's your plan, what exactly will lead you to doing it, and focus on it. It will be very hard if you don't work with a team because you have to like focus on it so much. If you are someone that is managing up to 3 to 4 brands, you might not be able to do that on your own. So it's better if you have a team and then you can assign duties, delegate duties.
Okay, but Della, don't you think it's if you have the resources for it, if you have the money to accommodate a team, to have a team? What if you don't have that much money to actually have a team and you have to do things yourself?
And you have to make do with your friends.
Exactly.
You know, that's why I said team, not workers.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you're having a team, they know that you're starting a business together.
And that's the people that can do that.
That's the how will I put it? That's the code, the QR code to running a business. Because you have to understand that not everybody, once you start calling somebody a worker, once you don't pay them, they are not doing anything for you. That's what comes with having a worker. There might be a point where you have to have a worker, but for the start, you have to have a staff.
Okay.
Do you understand? People who have holds in the business, they have stakes in the business.
And they share
They're
the same
able to say,
dream.
yes, they share the same dream, they have the same passion with you. Even many of the time, you still have to drive these ones, but they know they are a team. So they're not really expecting anything. You tell them, for 1 to 2 years, we're going this business.
Okay.
So that's it. You have a structure already. At the end of 2 years, this is our percentage here. So if you want to leave at that point, I'll give you your percentage and you can leave.
go.
And so at that point, you begin to have workers, not team again. Having a collaboration with someone or having to do something for someone, create value, then people begin to notice.